So this video is going to be completely in English because I think it's easier for YouTube to do something with subtitles and translations. So it's going to be an interview with Janis. For those of you who don't know Janis yet, she is the research lead in Indonesia. And it's quite an interesting story because the MANTAHARI community is basically backing her up and helping her out and the MMF out since she started in 2019. And basically Janis and me were working together since 5 years remotely, and now it's the first time we met. So enjoy the interview. If someone is new to the community and never heard about you, how would you introduce yourself?
Janis, I am a 27-year-old Indonesian marine scientist. I mainly work on marine megafauna such as manta rays, turtles, and other than like research, I also do conservation and education stuff. Especially, I'm also very interested in capacity building of other Indonesian early career scientists, and I'm hoping to collect and train more interns and young professionals in this field. Yeah.
And you're from Jakarta. How did you end up living on Nusa Lembongan?
So I did my bachelor's in Bali already in marine science. So, and I think in my third year, Ellie, who's my previous supervisor, came to my university and did a presentation on manta rays and microplastics. And she was looking for an intern at that time. So I applied and I became one of the interns for Ellie's PhD project. And then the next year I came back, and after that Ellie offered me a position as the research assistant in MMF. And after I graduated, I just went straight to Nusa Lembongan where she was based. And I've been living there ever since.
So you told me before that you almost ended up as a graphical designer. Yeah. So what's your motivation working in marine science or in this kind of field, especially with manta rays and turtles?
I think when I finally learned about marine science more, I learned that obviously Indonesia is such a big country. We have so many resources that isn't well managed, or it's not managed at all. And I think part of the motivation is to kind of help with what I can to manage the resources better, where to manage resources you would need a sufficient amount of data, but also education to local communities and stakeholders who benefit from those resources. And I think, one of the motivation for me is just to help with what I can in fulfilling those areas that management needs. But on the other hand, other than specifically on management, I really enjoy training others, especially people younger than me or my age, who wants to be involved in conservation but has never really been involved in conservation. So being a marine megafauna researcher and having opportunities to train and teach others is something I really enjoy. And the motivation is definitely just to increase more Indonesians in this field.
So you just said that you started as an intern with Ellie, and now you basically, Ellie left the MMF and you took over her job basically. You're the country manager, project lead of Marine Megafauna Foundation Indonesia. We're in Sangalaki right now, so checking out if there's an opportunity for a new base maybe. So what is then like your plans for the next years?
So in conservation, sometimes it's really hard to plan ahead a lot because it's very funding based, and obviously we're a non-profit, so it really is depending on the funding. But like you said, we're in Sangalaki, we're doing surveys, and hopefully next year we will start doing a long-term survey here on manta rays and maybe also turtles. So that is definitely the short-term goal, is to actually start collecting data here, update our previous data, and hopefully we will also get to do more data collection in other parts of Indonesia. Obviously, we will be continuing our monitoring in our usual places like in Nusa Penida and Komodo National Park, but maybe also seasonal field work in other places around Indonesia. That's for research part, and on an educational conservation level, we will always be communicating our scientific results to government, local stakeholders, and communities, and kind of urge acts of recommendation for them to do based on our research results. And on the education part, is to hopefully do more school visits, increase the ocean literacy of school students, especially those who live in the coastal areas and who's directly impacted by what's happening in the oceans, and also increasing interns and capacity building of local Indonesians in marine science.
That sounds like big plans and a lot on your plate. And you said you need funding for this kind of stuff. So then maybe leading over to the MANTAHARI community, how would you say was the impact? Because I'm always saying, I'm running the business, but in the end, it's not my money. It's from the customers. And I think it turned out to be a really nice community, really caring about things. And you are on our social media since a few years. So how did the community or the things that the community do impact you and the Marine Megafauna Foundation Indonesia in general?
Yeah, so basically MANTAHARI has funded literally me from 2019. I was the first Indonesian research assistant, and that could only happen because of the MANTAHARI community. So that obviously changed my life trajectory. I don't know what I would be doing if I wasn't the first being a research assistant with Ellie. But over the past 5 years that I've been working with MMF, the money that MMF Indonesia has received has definitely helped us in not only a research data collection, but also being able to fund, I think, about 6 Indonesian internships, early career scientists who have now either worked with us, is working with us, being part of the team, or is working in other places in Indonesia, either in conservation or academia. So, and obviously the money also supports the team that I work with now in Indonesia, and that is amazing, because without the support from the MANTAHARI community, we literally wouldn't be here today.
You mentioned Ellie a few times. You two have a kind of mother-daughter connection. It's quite nice to see. Ellie is from Canada, and she started the project and she ran it, and now she took the next or a different career step, left the MMF. What do you think are the benefits of having you as a local running the business now?
I think in all NGOs and in everywhere, it's so much more beneficial when you have local people running the organization. Obviously, the time I spent with Ellie has been very beneficial to me. I learned so much from her, not only in research area, but also work ethics, project and office management, which is very useful for me now, being in a more management position at MMF Indonesia. But in other places as well, when you have non-locals managing the organization, it is not as sustainable as it can be, because they might leave and stuff like that. So having a more localized management and team makes it ensure that the team is more sustainable, the projects are more sustainable because you're based there. And definitely being an Indonesian is much more easier to connect with the locals, having the same language. Even though I'm not Balinese, but I have lived in Bali for the past, almost 10 years now. So it is definitely much more beneficial that I can communicate better with the locals and hopefully reach out more to the locals. Yeah.
So for me, that sounds like you're planning to stay, because to be honest, after you did your masters in the US, I think Ellie and me were a bit worried that you're gonna not stay, or maybe stay, or go to a better paid job, to be honest. But it sounds like you're gonna stay with the MMF.
Yeah, I talked to higher management at MMF, and they like having me in Indonesia, and I like working with them as well. It's such a privilege to have access to world-class researchers and conservationists. So I really do enjoy working in MMF Indonesia, and for now I am planning to stay. I'm not sure how long, because it's just a big question mark, but for sure I'm definitely here to stay for the next couple of years.
Okay, that sounds really promising and good. I can just say from my side that as long as the brand can afford, then yeah, we're super happy to support you and the team and everyone in Indonesia. And I think then we're just gonna see like what the next days in Sangalaki bring right now.
Yeah, it's so exciting because being here and like thinking for the next couple of years, you just realize how much meaningful a small community can give to a small team in Indonesia. So we're looking forward to how the next years will look like, hopefully with more donations from the community.